We are live. Hello, Instagram. Hi. It's that time, 5 p.m. Money Medicine Space time. I am going to be joined by Joy Mogami today. Yeah. I hope she'll be able to join in. Oh my God, my water. Okay. Hello. Hi, African Buddha. Hi, Bibi, Mike. Hello, Sarah. Hello, Joy. I am glad you're finally here. I was like, I hope it's easier for her to join. Okay. Yes, I am going to be joined by Joy Mogami on today's Money Medicine's live session. Yay! Hi, Joy.
Hello.
Hello. You look amazing.
Thank you.
I've been doing the countdown. I was like, yeah, it's almost 5. I was ready since 4 p.m. Ready.
We are here.
We are here. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation to come join us here in the Money Medicine Space. It feels really good to be hanging out with you today. How are you?
I am so great. I'm so excited to hang out with you in this space. Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes, for those of you who are just joining in, today we are talking creating unfamiliar money with your spiritual gifts. And I feel like really I brought the perfect person for today's conversation because she's a woman who a few years back chose her path fully and said, I'm going all in, I'm going to surrender and do God's work. And I believe that I will create the abundance that I deserve. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Amazing.
Yes. I actually had a question that I was going to ask you before we even jump in. I was like, I should trick Joy and ask her this, right?
Okay.
So, let's say you are given power to create anything for a week for humanity. It's either you create that or you delete something. Anything. It could be a machinery, or you could just decide that for 1 week, I want humanity to be asleep and rest. Anything. What is the one thing that you would command for humanity for a week? You have all the power.
That's such a hard question. But the thing that came up is I will create a machine that allows humanity. This may backfire, but humanity to remember. So it's like a memory machine that allows human beings to remember the histories of who they are, their ancestry, the like all the spiritual knowledge you could possibly imagine. You could access it through yourself. Honestly, I wouldn't want it to be a machine, but I would put it in the organic brain of human beings so that we just have access to knowledge. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do.
I love that answer. Wow. It makes sense because you really value knowledge. You have your own Warriors of Light show where you are building a library of consciousness for the future generation, genetic path cutters, who will one day awaken and want to remember and want to know things, want to know African history, want to know tradition, healing, all the things. You are archiving it all. That is so powerful. So yeah, I love that part where organic and we can remember. Let's just hope that if we remember more things, we find a way to integrate it well and deal with it.
That's why I said it may backfire. That's why I said I'm not too sure if it's a great idea, because sometimes it's really good to not remember what happened a year ago also, you know?
I
But
get what
at the
you
same
mean.
time, at the same time, I have this frustration with like lack of knowledge or lack of access to our history, you know, which is kind of like my job. But yeah, so I wish more people could have access to that. Maybe I will build in some defense, like some fail-safe mechanism to ensure that we're not overwhelmed. Yeah.
Of course you would. You being you. I trust you to do that. Okay, yeah.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Alexandria's Healing, Sarah. So good to have you here.
Yes, and her luxurious healing is like the queens are glowing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I already just love the energy. So, Joy, in inviting you here, we want to talk about possibilities. We want you to share with us your experiences. We want to have fun with you, but also learn through your wisdom, through the wisdom of your guides on creating unfamiliar money with our spiritual gifts, right? So maybe just as a way to start, you could, introduce yourself. Who is Joy? Who is this powerful woman we see here? And then we'll take it from there. Yeah, like what do you do with that? Yes.
It's so interesting because before I became an oracle, I used to work in HR, and I used to ask people, who are you? And all the time, like I think 50% of people always tell me, I hate this question so much because I don't know where to begin. And I used to never get it. I kind of now get it. But who am I? I am a lover of wisdom, as we've kind of like activated this at the very beginning. I love wisdom. So I think of myself as a wisdom seeker, a wisdom keeper, and someone who is interested in sharing and archiving wisdom. And I've been doing this in many different ways. In the last 5 years, you know, I have a project that I've been doing within the literature of Africa and archiving what Africans are saying about who they are, the stories that they have about the African experience and being a human in a Black body, you know. And that passion has kind of like went into like spirituality, African spirituality, universal spirituality, and pairing that with my academic background in psychology. I am very passionate about the human psyche, about how we think affects how we behave, and how we evolve and grow as people, and also adding that to the wisdom of our ancestors. I'm very passionate about that, the wisdom of spirit, of divinity. So like it's a combination of all these things. There's wisdom in there. There is the psychological, psycho-spiritual aspects of our experiences as human beings, and also working with divine intelligence, divine interventions, divine orchestrations, divine wisdom, divine authority, everything divine. So my full-time job is somewhere around it. But altogether, in a way that makes sense, I do work with people who I call genetic path cutters. These are people who feel called to heal themselves, and they feel called to heal their bloodline, to work on their DNA, their genetics, what I call ancestral miasma, to transmute that, to transform that, so that we can create a new path for the next generation that's coming through through us and in the future. That's why
beautiful. I always just get so activated when you say, I work with genetic path cutters. This is because I also had the chance to work with you. So yes, Joy is my beautiful friend, but I've also received this divine guidance and wisdom that she's here to bring through working with her. Yeah, so every time you're like, I work with genetic path cutters, like, I am a genetic path cutter. It took a while to own that, but it's been a beautiful thing. Like, to actually go within and heal and have you hold space for me was life changing. And yeah, you do amazing work. You do everything, but the one thing that I would say to anyone is that you embody, God and divinity.
Wow.
Yeah, you're really a woman who's after God's heart, and that's what really has drawn me to you. And I love that about you. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, so Joy, take us back to that girl, the girl who a few years back was just deciding to deeply surrender to this work, where you fully chose that I'm going to be doing God's work, I'm going to be doing healing work, and this is going to be how I create my life, basically. What were your thoughts? What was happening around that time? Was it an easy thing to just jump into this path and fully choose it? Did you imagine anything? Just help us connect to the version of you that was awakening and choosing this path and building it fully from. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that the decision to finally take this path goes all the way back to 2016 in India, 2015, 16 in India. And so I was working there in HR, as I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to meet different types of people. And there are two specific people who I met that kind of like changed my life. These are strangers. I don't even know their name. That's the funny thing. One was an elderly woman in her 60s who told me that she was a psychologist. So at this point, I was on a future where I was going to be a psychologist, a traditional psychologist. That was the plan. That although I had taken a detour in India, I would come back and become a psychologist and probably work at a psychiatric hospital. And the thing is, somewhere inside me, I wasn't as excited about that, but it just felt like that's what is expected of me. So when I met this lady randomly, it just, sometimes I feel like I even imagined it. Maybe it didn't happen, or it was like an actual angel in a human body, because she came and sat next to me, and she spoke about like how she had lost everything in her life, and she had a private practice as a psychologist, and after losing her brother, mother, husband, all within 2 years, she realized that she wasn't living her life fully. And so she closed her private practice and traveled around the world. And the funny thing, this was a 10 minutes conversation, and she just told me all her life history. I was just at a restaurant, and she does it to do that. And then she told me that I am so lucky to be traveling at such a young age, and I need to keep doing this. I must follow what is my highest excitement. This is what she had learned at 60 plus years of following the path that everyone expected of her. And then she disappeared. The only reason I know she was well is because when I tried to go pay for my bill, I was told she paid for it. And then that stayed with me. At that point, I was actually on my process of applying for psychology programs. And after that, something started to activate. And I also met a 22-year-old who told me also that she came from a poor background, did not have enough money to pursue her love for fashion, but she started drawing, and she started to create this amazing garments. And when I was meeting her, she had been doing this for 4 years, and at 22 years, she had 6 stores in 6 different cities around the world. And now she was traveling around the world just buying the garments for her fashion line. And it just blew my mind. I'm like, what?
Wow.
So it was weird because it was a 22-year-old and a 60-year-old telling me on like what it takes to pursue what you love, you know, and it made me think about what is it that I loved. And in 2016, what I was sure of, and I think what I was confident about, was my love for literature, for wisdom, for archiving. So I decided I would do that full time. I decided to be a full-time artist. That is how I started Africa in Dialogue, which was all about curating and archiving African voices.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't think I knew what I was really doing, but I just knew something was calling me towards that.
Yeah.
When I came back, I told my parents, I'm going to do this full time. And luckily, they didn't like freak out about it. They're like, okay, you have 1 year to do that.
Yeah.
And that 1 year, it was very revelatory. While the passion was there, I started to realize this is not going to work out because, Joy, you are not making any money from this passion of yours.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
yes, I am 25 at that time, and I'm like, okay, we clearly need to figure out how to make money. And in literature, for those who follow literature, the motto for most people is you have to partner up with a university, you have to go the academic route to be able to be sustainable. And there's a point where I did go through that route where I got partnerships and I kind of traveled the world, and I really don't remember being really paid, but I was paid because I traveled. That was my pay. But it wasn't enough to sustain anything. Yeah, right. So while this is happening, it's also important to talk about the fact that I always knew that I had a spiritual calling. And in that point, I didn't think a spiritual calling is something that could be sustainable. Honestly, I really didn't think much about it because what I knew about spiritual healers was just that old grandmother in the village who everyone goes to and then they pay them with the goat. That's all I knew. Genuinely, you know? Yeah. Yeah. So to make a long story short, I ended up just really being frustrated by the process of how creatives make money, that I thought I'm going to figure out how to support artists in making money. And I started to study on how to support creative entrepreneurs, and I became a creative coach. So my path started first as a creative coach, and I was coaching these writers, these artists on how they can make money. I think my ideas were great, but they were just not sustainable, honestly. When I look back, Africa is not ready to invest in literature, you know, in the way that in other worlds it is, you know. But the gift of that route of being a creative coach is one of the women that I was coaching. These sessions were supposed to be 1 hour. By the way, at this time, I was charging $60 to work with me for 6 weeks. So that was $10 for a session. That's so crazy to me now.
Wow.
Right? Yeah. So one of the things that will happen with this client of mine, although we're supposed to start talking about her writing, she will ask me a question about spirituality, about God, about ancestors, and I will go all out explaining to her what I knew. And one day she looked at me, she's like, you know, Joy, something happens to you every time you talk about spirit, like your eyes glow. It's like your world.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that stayed with me, but it did. And I thought, hey, really, there is something here about me and spirituality and wanting to help people, right? And somehow in that year, 2018, that's when I remember that when I was 17, I was told that I have a spiritual calling, and there had been desires to pursue this, but that maybe I really need to pursue this on a serious level. And then one day I woke up. This was obviously through many processes, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna answer this calling. And I woke up, went to my mother's house, and I'm like, I'm ready to become whatever this is. Take me wherever. My mother was kind of shook, and she's like, oh my God, who do we need to call to support you with this? So the decision was basically made up of many instances. It wasn't a once-off thing. I wasn't brave from the beginning. I was very hesitant. I did not know how it was going to work out, but I am very glad that I did finally arrive here. Yeah.
Wow. It has been a very long but beautiful journey. Yeah, I love how you are always just connected to your passion, and how God, universe, was somehow also guiding you, dropping in the hints, using the old woman, using the 22-year-old. I don't know if it's a lady or a man who you met and who was in the fashion industry, and showing that, ma'am, I'm following my passion and all this is possible. It's beautiful. And as you are saying this, I'm like, I've shared this with you, how for me, I went the straight route. Like, I love your bravery, and although you say it was not brave, but that just thing where you were like, I feel drawn to creativity. I feel drawn to things of spirit. I know something is there. With me, my path was a little, I think for the longest time, I was not even thinking that it was possible for me to ever integrate what I'm really passionate about, and get it to be the thing that I do every day, and it be a business. I remember, Joy, when when I finally finished school, it was a long route, and then I started working. I remember I attended a conference, and the man that was there was actually TD Jakes, and he was talking about purpose. I was so triggered because I was like, do I know my purpose? I felt like I didn't know my purpose. But the funny thing is, I think 4 years before that, I had met a spiritual man who had told me that, people are going to come to you and they are going to talk about money with you. That didn't make sense. So obviously I just shoved that somewhere in a corner. I couldn't even hear what he was saying. But fast forward, 4 years later, I'm listening to another spiritual man talk about purpose, and I'm triggered because I don't know my purpose. I don't understand. What are they talking about? I went on and Googled, what is my purpose? How do I get to find out my purpose? I really did this.
Wow.
Because in as much as I was in corporate, I was working, and I wouldn't say I had a terrible job. I was enjoying my life, or it felt like there was something that still felt like there's a missing piece here. I still don't feel complete, and that's when I decided to come to you. Finally, you had answered the call of, wanting to help genetic path cutters and awaken us to our mission and help us remember who we are. So that's the thing that drew me to come to you. So I look at it as, if Joy doesn't wake up and say, yes, mom, I'm ready to follow this mission, I don't know where I get, where I get to fit in and be like, ma'am, what is my purpose? Because that's the thing that you and I had to work through, because it was the most frustrating thing in my life. Like, what are we doing here? Why are we on earth? What is happening? So it's been just so beautiful. You also talked about how even as you were pursuing the things you love, there was a point where you were a little disconnected from the money aspect of things, where it was mostly just what you're passionate about, your heart, and not really thinking about money. And I feel like a lot of people are able to relate to this, creatives and spiritual entrepreneurs are able to relate to this, or anyone who just is very talented, but at the same time sometimes feels like, I just feel like the money is not matching with this drive that I have. What are some of the blocks that you notice, with creatives, with healers, genetic path cutters, even just from your experience, where you notice that could be informing the disconnection we have in really being able to integrate our path and our passion with also the money aspect of things. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, I think I think that we have a problem with understanding the value that we provide in the world. And I think that this has a lot to do with the patriarchal system. It has a lot to do with how we undermine the way in which nurturing, caring, holding space for people is deeply demanding, right? And so this even goes all the way to our mothers who are the homemakers, and how we often perceive that as not something that is worthy to be celebrated, that is worthy to be massively compensated, right? So it's like this deep programming that we have, that if I'm spending time just talking to Joy, it's not a big deal because we're just talking, you know? And I also had that problem also with, I realized, like, even when it comes to literature, like, there's some people who be like, oh, it's not a big deal, you know, that I am reading this book written by another person who spent hours after hours writing it, and it's okay if I just give them like $5 or nothing, you know? And we really undermine the time it takes to create, the time it takes to hold space, and the time it takes for particularly genetic path cutters, both those who are artists as well as the healers, the coaches, the teachers, right? So I had to have that like awakening, and I was lucky, I think, because immediately after I went through the training that I needed to go through, and I started working as a healer. So I remember asking my mentor, how much should I charge for this? And he said, in my language, he said, you should charge 125 pula. The 75 pula is for your ancestors, and the other one is your money. And I'm like, what? So a session, I'm just gonna make like what 50, 60 pula. How much how many people will I have to see to cover my rent, to cover my food, you know? And it's just something, someone there just clicked, like, but that doesn't match up with the fact that I live in a current reality where certain things I have to fulfill them, basic needs, and this does not add up, you know. And I felt weird that my mentor was recommending this for me, and something said, go ask another person, you know. And I didn't have another person, but somehow spirit ancestors led me to a teacher who was a money coach, who is a money coach still. I've spoken a lot about her, Vangile, and I reached out to her and I learned about how she works. And she was saying that because what happened was that I just knew in my heart that this is what I meant to do. And I wanted to do this. It was the only thing that I've ever encountered that I knew I wanted to do for a really long time. And something felt like, if I'm not able to sustain myself, I won't be able to do it for a long time. Right? So I found this person who seems to have been doing this for years, and it seemed to be working for her. And I felt like I needed to learn what she has discovered about how to run a spiritual practice, a spiritual business, a spiritual service. And so I reached out to her, and when she told me how much I would have to invest to work with her for 6 months, I think I had a brain freeze, and I went into utter shock because I've never had that amount of money spoken. I'm like, sorry, ma'am, what? But I didn't say that. I was just like, she's like, are you ready to begin now? And I'm like, I just shook my head, but I was in shock. And for 2 days after that, I could not sleep because, first of all, I was amazed and shocked that this woman, this Black woman, can charge this for services that many people would not automatically see that value. right?
Exactly.
And something, yeah.
Yeah.
And then my curious mind was like, maybe there's something she teaches you in there that, you know, is worth this amount. So you really have to invest in this.
Yeah.
And this was a breakthrough for me. I think this is the beginning of what changed my relationship with money as a practitioner. Because at the time when she was charging like 8,000 rands per month. I was not making half of that in my practice. Like, I was like, ma'am, how will I pay you? None of these people can, you know, they're not paying me that much for me to start affording this service. But something miraculous happened. I started to ask myself, like, what will I have to do to be able to pay this 8,000? And I always tell her, like, I think your charge, the amount, the price is the first medicine you gave me, because I started to ask a different question. What do I need to do to get this 8,000 every month to pay so that I can learn and I can heal? And at the time, honestly, I didn't know how, like, my relationship with money is deeply connected to wounds and pains that I have. I just thought she's gonna teach me some business stuff in there that will somehow change my life, but that's not what happened. So when I asked that question, ideas started to come through. The two things that became apparent to me, it was that one, I will have to start to believe in my value and my work. And I will have to see it. And if I can believe this, then I can go and share with people what I can do. Right? And that activated this, I call it this inner authority to literally kind of like, I had to crown myself as I am worthy to be a guide for someone. I am ready to be a guide for someone. I have enough training from my psychology and all the other trainings I've had in the last however years I've been on this path. And because of that, I am worthy to be paid $250. And if I could get just 4 people to work with me with the $250, I can pay her. You know, and something happened within me at a deep level, and all the stories I had about why I can share my work with people, about the discomfort of doing live streams, you know, because someone had just randomly told me, if you want to reach out to people, you need to do live streams. And that scared me so much. Like, I was like, what will I tell people? I could never possibly talk about ancestors in public. What will my friends and everyone else think about me? You know, all of this started to unfold inside me before we even started working together with my mentor. And long story short, I actually did manage to pay her for 6 months that 8,000. And each time I kept expanding and growing and getting more confidence. But at the core of it, I think that what I learned from doing money work was I had to rewire my value as a healer. I had to see that actually what I do changes people's lives, not just in the moment, but forever. That once a person works with me, I will give them tools that they will use for the rest of their lives. And that is like, the value of that is enough. It's as much as the car a person feels comfortable buying. It's enough as the ticket for your holiday, you know, that 2 weeks holiday. You are ready to go spend this. So you must also, like, it's the same value, if not more, you know? And that's what I think. I don't know if I answered your question.
You really did, and you went even further. Like, that was beautiful. Yes, you did.
Okay.
Yeah, Joy, I love that you keep bringing the aspect of getting to understand your value, like what you do is valuable, and stepping into that authority that, the work I do is impactful and it's valuable. And I can totally relate to this, because I also I saw it in myself, where when I began trying to own that, I can coach people with their money. Here's something that I realized. One, we really take what we know or what we are gifted with for granted. We take our gifts for granted. And then because of that, I had this idea. I was charging like $25 to sit with someone for like 2 hours. I had the idea that what I know is, because I know something, then it's so obvious, then it's not valuable. It didn't click that they probably don't know this, and this information, they won't take it, like it will be life-changing for them. So I notice how sometimes not knowing your value makes you take for granted what you know, because you assume that everyone knows this. You know, for example, a herbalist will assume that I know the remedy for healing, you know, my whatever pain body that I have. We tend to take for granted what we have mastered or what we are on the journey of mastering, you know. So I see that. I see the, you know, the shift in having to understand your value and no longer treat it as a hobby or as something that you're just passionate about. See that this will make an impact. I don't know if I lost her. Yeah. Yeah, I hope we're still together. Okay, definitely lost her. But yeah, hopefully she will join in. I do love what Joy said there about value. It's important that we get to step into our own authority and say that my work is valuable. What I know someone else does not know. I have been guided to master this, or I'm on the path of mastering this and being more knowledgeable about this. And because of that, see it as that initiation, see it as a training, that the significance of you having to go through all the things that you had got through to collect that knowledge so that you can impact other people. And when they pay you, they're obviously appreciating you, they're appreciating your energy. Yeah, I think Joy is having internet issues, but I trust that she will join in. Yeah, please do also share if you've had that phase, or how you are able to relate with this issue of you as a genetic pather doing something that you love, that you're passionate about, that you're gifted in. Do you sometimes struggle with getting to see its value, like really the impact of it and the worth of it on other people's life? Where are you? And yeah, what's the revelation that you're getting as you are here? Do share. Okay, yes, I think she's here. Oh, thank God. Welcome back.
Thank
Yes.
you. I don't know. My phone just died. It said it heated up. But
Oh,
yeah. Let's hope it doesn't do that again.
yes. Yes, you shared so much, so much potent information. And yeah, as we're living, we're talking about, as you got cut off, we're talking about how I can totally relate to the value aspect of this. Yeah, I wanted to ask you to just share. You did share that when, as you were working with a money coach, and yeah, you at first you didn't know, what are we going to do? Like, what is the thing that we're going to do? Is she going to like teach me about the technical stuff about business? Just briefly share some of the revelations you get to have and the wounds that you recognize that, oh, these are some of the wounds that actually were blocks in me creating money, unfamiliar money, creating money that can support my life and that can support me in investing in other people or other things that will help me grow. Yeah, what are some of the highlights that you remember, the revelations and the wounds?
Okay, so some revelations I had. So the first thing that was apparent to me was that I had issues with charging the appropriate price for what I was offering, right?
Yeah.
And part of that is because I thought that people wanted something that I felt like I couldn't really provide for them, or at least I was not confident that I could provide for them. And that if you are to charge a certain amount of money, it means you have to provide this extra out of this world type of service, you know.
Yes.
So I had to work around my beliefs about what I really want to do, and the confidence and the imposter syndrome that I had, you know, feeling not qualified, feeling that I don't have sufficient experience, I don't have the right vocabulary to come and explain to people what is it that I do. And also just this incredible, horrible idea that people didn't want what I was so passionate about, which was the divine, and which was also this deep healing, genetic healing, you know. I didn't think people would ever want that. It's so weird because I remember spending weeks with my mentor, and one day we were in a deep journey, and she asked me, Joy, if you didn't have any fears, any worries, any doubt, what would you really create? What would you really like to share, teach, guide, help people with? And I remember saying that. I said the divine. And she asked, what about the divine, you know? And it was about, you know, people reconnecting back with the divinity within themselves. Because something I had a revelation when I was in my psychology program years back, that the core of all the issues that we have, whether someone is coming to me because they're struggling to get over a breakup, or they have lost a loved one, or they are struggling within their career or their money, something just clicked one day that at the core of all of this is that we have a misconception about our divinity, about who we really are, and that a person will be stuck in grief, will be stuck in an idea of who they're supposed to be if they they do not comprehend who they really are at a fundamental level, right? And I used to say that all wounds essentially are God wounds. And like, I mean, I thought that was like such a big concept, and I did not know how to teach that, such a big concept, in a way that is applicable to people on a daily basis, right? Sure. And these fears, I had a lot of fears around what my actual mission is. And I had to work with my mentor around that. And each time we're working on them, we will unearth certain experiences from my childhood that informed these belief systems, that informed what the underlying belief that I had was that I am too out there, too strange, too advanced, too mechanical, you know, that such that no one would really want to engage at that level. You know, it's funny for me that because Mukulu is saying that I'm so valuable. Thank you so much. You know, it took some years for me to arrive to here, Mukulu. There were years where I was not sharing about genetic healing. I wasn't comfortable saying that I'm on an oracle. I wasn't comfortable even calling myself a healer. I used to depend so much on my psychology background, because when you have the academic certificate, I come and say, oh, I am a psycho-spiritual healer, that's more palatable. But the work I wanted to do was deeper, was planetary, was global, it kind of quantum, you know. And I had to move through many layers of my fears, the imposter syndrome. The biggest one was the vow of invisibility. So this is what I learned from my mentor. The vow of invisibility, it's a vow that a lot of genetic path cutter make. We make it because in the past, we have been killed for our wisdom. We have been killed for sharing what we know. We have been basically our knowledge has been suppressed, hidden from the mainstream. So there's this inherent fear to actually share what we really do with people, the fear that people will reject you. And the funny thing is, all the time, the people we fear will reject us are people we actually are not called towards. You know, it's that people who will never come and watch this live stream, you know.
Yeah.
And so we spend a lot of our time worrying about these people who, even if you were to write whatever it is, they will not even read the post, or they will be like, what is she about? And they move on with their life. I used to think that I will have like a troll coming into my live stream saying, what you are talking about is blasphemous, blasphemy. That was my great fear.
Wow, yeah.
That never happened though, because they will never watch the live stream enough to even type blasphemy, you know.
Wow,
Yeah.
I can. Wow, yeah. I know it took a while for you to say, like, it took a while for you to move me through this as well. I used to care so much about who's watching the live stream, and like, they are not even watching. These people that you think will watch. Oh my God, it used to hurt so bad. Yeah, I remember I did my live stream day 1, day 2. I called you in the morning. I was crying. I was like, I am shutting down my page. I want nothing to do with this page because people were inboxing me. You should do this. You should do that. And at that point, all I wanted, Joy, all I wanted was to talk about healing and show people that healing is actually a key to raising abundance consciousness, and also a key to having a healthier relationship with money and feeling safer to create money, you know, because for the longest time we didn't even feel worthy of having money or making money. Now to think that I get to talk about healing, yeah, that was painful. That was so painful. Yeah, I think we lost Joy again. Yeah, we did lose her again. I think she'll rejoin. The internet is, there's so much interference. Why is this happening? Yeah, so yeah, please, if you have any questions that you have for Joy, this would be the perfect time to type them in the comment section, and then we'll make sure that we answer most of them. I believe she will be here to answer most of these questions. This is an exciting conversation. Yeah, I'm happy that we get to talk about this. There's something Joy mentioned earlier that really also that I connected with, that I resonated with, where she said that at a time when she needed money to invest in her own growth, in her own coach, she had to ask herself, what will I have to do? Like me as the genetic path cutter, as the spiritual woman, what will I have to do in order to afford this? And this is so big because what I realize is that most of the time, when we, even though we have these things that we're really passionate about, that we're really good at, we have this, or I'd say programming or weakness, where whenever you ask yourself, where will I get the money? What will I need to do? You always think this money somehow cannot be connected with your own passion or what you're really passionate about. We always think that the thing that I would have to do to get money is outside myself, and that's something that I have observed with a lot of us. Yeah, the thing that will actually get me the money is something else. I have to go think of doing something else. This is where some of us, although are gifted, would spend time hustling or doing piece jobs and not really trusting that your gift will actually create the money that you can use to invest in the things that you love. Okay, yeah, she's back.
Love.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
had to
Sarah is
borrow
also.
a different phone.
You have to go and.
I said I had to borrow a different phone, so let's hope it works.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, thank you for that. Sarah is also relating to the live stream issue. She's like, Yeah, that is so much depth.
Yeah,
I think it's an internet thing. Yeah, there is something I wanted us to talk about. Hopefully the internet will not cut us. I love everything that you have shared, the revelations that you shared about one having to own what you truly want to be talking about to people and how you really want to be helping people. And I believe that as you were working with a coach, you got through the layers of trusting that I want to talk to people about divinity, and that's the thing that I would love to be massively compensated on, right? So Joy, you get to a point where you realize that, oh my God, I'm actually being compensated for the thing that I truly, truly wanted, which is, doing divine work. Money hits the account, and this is money you've never made before. This is unfamiliar money. Whoa! You used to be paid like 600 or so. So someone is paying you so much more. You're like, this is the money that I wanted. What is happening with you as it hits that account? Take us through that moment.
it's like I remember so I remember at the time I was doing that work, and I was also making, I remember on a daily basis, these affirmations in my phone, and I was just kind of like say them.
Yeah.
But I was also, this is said with the money work that I was doing.
Yeah.
And one of the things I had said, I was like, my soulmate clients enjoy paying me in full for my services.
Amen.
And I would keep saying that over and again.
Yeah.
And one day I have this person who decides that they will pay the whole amount for, because I usually have payment plan. So the whole amount, at the time, this was at the beginning of my work, I was charging, I think it was 10,000 rands for 3 months to work with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so she did not tell me that she's going to pay this 10,000 rands at once.
Yeah.
So one day I'm just sitting, and then ting, ting, my bank says this money just dropped into my account. And
wow.
First of all, like, what? Why would she do this? I went into panic attack because before that, the amount that I had ever received was when I was working in India, which was like $550 per month, which I thought was a lot of money, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah. We must remember that I was 25 years old, so I did not know money really. So the first time I received this amount of money, I actually went into an anxiety attack. I could not be, because what was moving through me was, what do I do with this money? It's too much money. Like, I'm okay. I have all my expenses paid. Why would this person send me all of this money? And that's when I was, later I understood that was my upper limit. Like, receiving 10,000 rands was my upper limit. It was something that I thought was a big deal for the version of me at that time, and yeah, obviously the first thing, after a while, after I calmed down from the anxiety, I went to the shops and I went shopping, and that 10,000 basically I think was gone in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Right? And I mean, I'm not like a person who likes to shop, but what I later discovered is that I would sign up for these other courses and personal development processes, all of this with the attempt to put away this money, like it shouldn't be here, and that's when I just encountered that I actually have discomfort with money. I have discomfort with abundance, money being in my account, and had a great fear around having more money than I've ever had, or more money than my mother had at my age. Exactly. And that's when I encountered I later have come to understand that as at an ancestral level, there are, in our families, there's a certain amount of money that we make as a collective. Like, let's say in my mother's family, there are 5 of them. right? So together, maybe in a month, they make 200,000 rands.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what then happens, that becomes a frequency for the entire family.
Amen.
And then when someone comes and they push this number too fast to the next level, there's something that happens to the people, and there's like this panic attack, and we try to collapse that because we had existed in scarcity for so long.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's when I realized, I'm comfortable in scarcity. I'm not comfortable in abundance.
Yeah.
And because my work, the body of my work is about ancestry and genetics, I looked into that to what does this mean? Why will I freak out over 10,000? And yeah, like I said, it's we call it the vow of loyalty. I wanted to be loyal to the poverty consciousness of my family.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, to go in the same route as my mother. Like I like there is a certain way that we elevate in Africa, right? Like you go get the job. My mother works in a government, and then she kept getting promoted, and the promotion takes you from 10K to 12 to 15 to 20 to 30, all this within 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? So this young girl, she just starts her spiritual savings, and then 4 months into it, she gets 10K. This is too fast. So every bone, every cell in me is freaking out. My ancestors are freaking out, and I'm like, oh my God. What do we do? And so I had to do a lot of programming my mind and programming my cells and my DNA and communing with the part of me that feels that I am not worthy of abundance. I am not worthy of it being easy. Exactly. And I'm not worthy of compensated because of something I love. I had to work around those mindsets and also work around with my genetics. And so I did a lot of journeys to retrieve any part of my ancestry that was fighting that evolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love how, at that moment you freaked out, you had anxiety. But isn't it funny how that's the thing you wanted though, And I see how a lot of us also get confused where sometimes we get the thing that we wanted. And then the reaction that we have towards it, it's often sometimes confusing because yes, you wanted to make more money. Yes, you wanted your business to grow. But the minute the money hits in your account, you are getting a different response. And I love how you got to break it down at some of the factors that, we're contributing or influencing that response, that anxiety you had, It could be your family. It's also that your own programming is now questioning your ability to be making this money, how easy it is. This is so easy. It's something that is so natural for me. How is it that I have this much money in my account? Oh my God. And then you did the thing that our parents do. Oh my God. How many of us had parents who would take us shopping all the time? I see it so much where whenever we have money, we think, even up to today, I have to remind myself that it's okay to have money in my account and not go shopping or not use it. Getting to be comfortable with having money, staying there. It's something that we get to learn. I also love how you're bringing the aspect of, the linear programming, where it would have made sense for you as Joy to be making this money in smaller amounts. Like you imagine that, okay, this client will pay me probably for the next 6 months, small amounts, and then that'll make sense. But now once she pays all of it, it's like, no, that's not how it works usually. Usually money comes in small droplets. Our programming has taught us that in small stages, the increment always has to make sense. And now when you are doing your business, the possibility of creating more and of creating overflow is like, this is shocking. This is not something that usually happens. I love how where Kulimens is saying loyal to the poverty of consciousness. Yeah, it's crucial to break away. Thank you for that. Yeah. Joy, here's something that I admire about you. You have managed to get to a point where we could say that, yes, you are creating unfamiliar money in the sense that, this is money that you never spoke of in your family or you never heard of. And yeah, you are able to do that. You are able to still be evolving in your spiritual journey and still be that God woman who does God's work. You are also able to integrate the business aspect into your spirituality and still maintain your integrity. Someone out there may be asking themselves, how did she manage to have a spiritual business, still maintain her integrity, still maintain, her mission of doing God's work, being of service, making impact, still have that professionalism energy in her work? How do you manage to integrate it all and still have that integrity, be a woman of value that I know you are and many people know you are? How do you do it? How does it come together?
Thank you. So one of the fundamental things that I really took from my work with my money coach was, why am I doing this? What is my big why? What is the whole point of me being a healer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, when I started this, I thought, no, it's because it's my destiny. I had to do it. And then when I went really deeper and deeper, it was that fundamentally I am uncomfortable, quite distraught about the pain of my people. Yeah. It bothers me on a fundamental level that we struggle at the levels in which we struggle at. And that is why I do this way. Yeah. Even though we may use fancy words like God and divinity and all of that, what I want to do is to liberate us from suffering, right? And liberating us from suffering, of course, it's a journey. It's about deprogramming the mind. It's about reconnecting us to spirit and reconnecting us to our true origins, our heritage, and so forth. Once this really landed for me, why am I doing this? All of this is fundamental. Once I got the fundamental reasons why I'm doing it, I remember that also had, when I was in India, I lived in a city called Pune, which is where the spiritual guru Osho comes from. Okay. And the Osho Foundation was just in my neighborhood, right? And it was this big foundation where Indians and foreigners could go there. What I found interesting was that Indian people could enter the Osho Foundation with like 10 rupees, which is like, let's say 10 rand. And if you are a foreigner, you pay 1,000 to enter this foundation. And it always stayed with me that Osho decided to create a foundation that will serve his people, that will help and liberate his people and make it an affordable space for people to come for healing. And I've always thought we need healing centers like that in Africa. Yeah. We need spaces for the different pains that we have, the different diseases that we have. I'm not talking about psychiatric hospital, because those are when we're having active, when we're actively going through something traumatic. I'm just talking about someone right now who's feeling a little sad, depressed, overwhelmed, and who needs to be centered and so forth. Yeah. So I just I had that dream, and our training is that when you dream of something like that, you'd have to have the government giving you a grant or someone giving you a grant to do something like that. True. But in my journey, I was shown that I could also create that, yes, with the support of the people around me. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So there's this dream I have, I think I've spoken. That's the dream, this healing center. Yeah. It's particularly for people who struggle with mental health disorders, drugs and diseases, all different types of terminal chronic diseases that we do have here in Africa. And my dream is that they enter with 10 people. Yeah. But for me to clearly create this, I will have to have a lot of money. Yeah. To build this, to even sustain it. And so once I could connect with this all the discomfort around charging a specific amount of money kind of dropped.
Yeah.
Because I know why I'm doing it. I'm not doing it because I want to be fancy and go buy the coolest things under the sun, although that's allowed. I can do that. But like, I have a bigger mission, you know?
Yeah.
And so I started, I am living today for a future, a prophecy that I see that was given to me.
Yeah.
And I'm always trying to remind myself to still be that version who's one day going to run this healing center.
Absolutely.
And that version of me, what would she provide for people? I want people to feel safe. I want people to feel inspired. I want people to feel like they can connect with that inner strength and that inner courage. I also want people to have an experience, and maybe that's the storyteller in me. So I try to bring all of these to what I'm creating right now. Right? And so that's where the integrity comes from. It's because I am deeply married to a bigger mission that is not yet alive, but it's being born every time. Every day I learn something new. Every day I curate free programs. Every day I go figure out how to take people on a journey of 3 months that will support in that healing, you know. That is what moves me. It's like it's the future moves me, and possible moves me. What's possible for people?
Yes, yes, I love that. I always say that once you have the vision, you will stop being passive with your money and with your wealth. It will be the thing that pulls you to actually say, I actually need the money, you know, the same way your own prophecy, your own vision is what drives you to say, yeah, this is why actually I need to be charging to one day sponsor my own ideas to fund this so that humanity can receive the services. So do we go charge more, just increase prices to make unfamiliar money? Or is there work that we need to do? What can you say in a few sentences? Because someone could literally be like, yeah, I guess I should just go change my prices up, you know? Yeah. So what?
So one time in my journey, I fell into that kind of mindset of like, change your price, let it be whatever it is that you feel like. And I did that. I changed my prices to an amount that I could not energetically hold.
Amen.
I was very scared to tell people what it is. But when I went deeper to what was the discomfort around the amount that I was charging, it was that I didn't feel like what I am providing qualifies that amount, right? So it's still about value. Like if you are able to mentally see that, yes, this is actually worth this, right? Then it's easy to do that. So sometimes we have this inner resistance to changing our prices because there is a truth to that. And that truth is that it will require you to offer more. So when I think about my money coach, why she was charging the amount that she was charging at the time, it made sense to me based on the service that she gave me. Not only did I have access to one-on-one sessions with her that were 3 hours, I also had access to an archive of meditations and journeys and master classes and continuous live streams that she was doing, and access to her for those entire time. Right? I could see that she went beyond just like coaching me in a way that people think of coaching. I could also see how it's been 2-3 years since I've worked with her, and I still talk about her because she changed my life on a fundamental level. And each time I keep going back to the teachings, I still do some of the meditations that she long gave me. I literally move through any discomfort around money with the basic teachings that she gave me. So one of the things that I've been doing with genetic pathcutters, particularly those who are on a traditional like who are coming from like traditional spirituality, for example, African spirituality, what I found is that sometimes we need to understand what the true value is, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, traditional healers, they may think that that value is, for example, the cleanses that they do.
Right.
That if I cleanse you, then this is equivalent to that. So it's like sometimes we quantify the product, but we're not quantifying the transformation, which is what we need to be looking on. Like, so what is the transformation you give people? Right. So if, for example, I come and say, I'm charging this because I would do inner child work with you, that's just the tool that or shadow work. That's a tool I have.
Yeah.
Right. But what matters is how I use that to truly move you from one state to another, from where you were before you started working with me to the next stage that you are at. Right. So, for example, with you, you came and you were like, I don't know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And today you are here living your purpose. That's a transformation.
Exactly.
That is what we are charging people for. True transformation. So if you are a genetic path cutter and if you're still struggling around charging what you're worth, the question what you need to look into is, what do I really transform? And that's what you are charging. That's the value you are promised, not the tools that you have, because we obsess about the tools.
Yeah.
Right? And then if you are not confident in what you can transform, that's where the work needs to be done. Right? So for me, I've done a lot of trainings, and each time is because I keep wanting to know. Right now, this morning I was telling God, I want to know how to do miraculous healing. I just want to know. Please teach me. What do I need to do? Miraculous healing. Someone comes to me with an illness and it's gone. There is miraculous healing that I do, but it seems to take a while. So I would like to see one where, it's shorter. And yeah, I'm considering seeing what I need to do to be able to tap into the organic miracles that do exist in our world, in our universe, and who I will be, who I need to be able to do that, to allow myself to do that, to allow the divine to do that through me.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, you dropped gems there. Thank you for that. I love how you said it's important that we remember as we're charging that what we're really charging for is the transformation. Quantify the transformation. And yeah, I could say that that's where sometimes how I always say, it has to make sense to you. Your own price also has to make sense to you. Like, make it make sense to you through being able to see that transformation, that okay, I know I will take a person from here to there. Another clue that you once gave me at some point, you said, no, fam, if you are willing to invest something, or if you yourself would pay this much for a program, then it will be easier for you to receive someone else paying you that amount, and that has been helpful. Like, I imagine now, if it shocks me to pay someone 100,000, or 10,000 US dollars or 5,000, then I may not also be able to energetically hold someone else paying me that much. So there is that evolution that needs to happen, where you continuously deprogram, do the inner work, also put in the work where you are also giving your clients what is of value, so that you can be confident in your prices, in your charging, and you will receive the unfamiliar money at some point. It's about the work. Joy did it. It's such an inspiration. So yeah, we are almost towards the end of our conversation. Any message, any shift that you once received, even if it's just the line that, someone once told me this when I was on my journey, or I once read this book and this is the message that I received that kept me going, because it's not like you've always had easy days. You had to keep going for you to embody this aspect of you, you know. If there's anything that you remember that you feel like could touch our spirits right now, I would love for you to share what that thing is.
Well, two things come to mind. Years back, I once read or heard someone talking about how men grow up saying things like, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a billionaire. And rarely do you ever hear women saying that they want to be millionaires or billionaires. Yeah. And for many of us women who are like in this path, we often feel disconnected to the idea of making millions and billions of money. Yeah. And honestly, maybe because fundamentally it's not something that really means a lot to us the way that it may mean for men. Yeah. But that stays with me because I think that sometimes we get so stuck in an identity of like being a woman is all about desiring this, that we're not willing to break the mold, the idea that has been limiting us either way. Yeah. There is also someone who has said, Amanda Francis who said, I want to put money in the hands of good women because good women will change the world. Amen. And I'm like, yeah. Yeah. Because women with our ability to nurture, to care so deeply, imagine what we could do if we had resources, if we had the money to buy the land, to build the centers, you know. So I keep, like, honestly, I'm not moved by the dollars and the amount of money, but I am moved by change. What is possible for me, what is possible for my almost a daughter, my sister and my mother. I don't have a daughter. Yeah. And my mother and the women in my bloodline who did not get an opportunity to pursue their dreams, mostly because they did not have this resource before money, right? And so sometimes I believe that as women, this has been the theme for me this year. Yeah. Part of our mission is to step into our authority as the wisdom keepers of this world, as people who are anchored to spirit, who have literally an innate ability to access the higher realm that created this world. To then now go to higher realms and say, okay, please teach us on how to make money so we can also bring transformation to this physical world. We are not just going to wait for our husbands, our brothers only to change, but we can also participate in the change that's required. And as women, and I know that men watching this, but as women, I want us to remember that there is a power alive inside us. We are often more qualified for that job, for that opportunity, for the next charge that you know you're meant to be doing, but you are waiting for someone to come and crown you. You are waiting for the king or the husband or whoever. Then that's when you can start your business, or that's when you can step into your mission. And I think it's time for us to collapse that. It's time to crown ourselves. I call it making yourself the authority. Yes. Decide that I am the authority of herbal medicine. I am the authority of money coaching. I'm the authority of inner childhood because I know this. This I know. And what I know can help the next person fundamentally in ways that changes our world. And I can't keep waiting anymore. So I will crown myself. I had to crown myself so many times. The way I changed my title, no one ever gave me the title of an oracle, but the truth is that I am a seer. Yeah. And I could have waited for a really long time before claiming that. And claiming that I am a genetic alchemist. I didn't even go, I'm not a quantum scientist, but I teach people on the DNA because I am attuned to that. Because we have access to this divine intelligence as women and men as well. You are also allowed to do that. Specifically for women who are here in this place. It is safe to tell the world who you are and to do what you know you're meant to do in this world.
Yeah. Ashe. I am so activated. I am so active. Yeah, you went all in. You were like, women. I am so
Yeah.
activated. Yeah. I love how you were like, it's not even just about the numbers. It's about the change, that you get to make. Like, wow, powerful, powerful message. Amazing. I love it. Joy, this has been so empowering. This conversation, the whole conversation has been so empowering, so activating. And I'm sure, oh, so many hearts just coming, activating. This is just so beautiful. You are an amazing woman. So if I would love to
Thank
work
you.
with you, connect with you, how do I, work with you? Or, what are some of the ways that one can work with you, your offers? Just share more on that for those who'd love to connect with you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Um, so I'm the type of girl who is all about long-term processes. I like processes. I've always been that person.
Mm,
So working with me often requires someone who's ready to invest in their healing, and they're not looking for a quick fix. They're committed and dedicated to transform, because transmutation takes time. So I have one-on-one offerings, which starting next year, you have opportunity to work with me for like 6 months, 9 months, or a year,
mm,
right? Most, because I've realized women, Black women particularly, we need more than a year, more
we,
than 6 months to actually heal.
yeah.
And I will also be soon sharing an offering that I have for people who have oracular gifts. We call them boom mom siblings in my language. Those people who are called to God, to the divine, who want not only to learn how to connect and use their gift to heal people, to support people,
Mm,
but also how to build successful businesses that allow them to do what they're here to do.
mm,
Right, so that offering is going to be a group offering starting in 2022. More details will come soon on that. And then next year, I'm committed to create workshops that allow you to go deeper into healing. There won't be teaching workshops, but healing workshops, which means you
mm,
go and heal more and more. And this will be an offering that is accessible to most people, because I realize people need that. So I will be doing these maybe every 2 months workshops and so forth. So you can check my website for
mm,
more updates on these offers. I think they'll be updated by January,
mm.
and you can begin to work with me through any of these three main ways that you can work with me in the coming year.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
I can absolutely say this for sure that anyone who works with you will receive the medicine they're meant to receive. They will receive the answers that they are meant to receive at the level that they receive. I know the version of you that came to you and started working with you is not this lady here. I have grown, I have evolved because of the many shifts. Like you have really done the work. And I am, yeah, guys, at some point in time when I met Joy, I would have never even said I know what I'm here to do, or I can even be running a spiritual business at a professional level. Nope. I got here because of the medicine I received in Joy's sessions, and where she actually led me to my own wisdom. And that's the most beautiful thing about working with Joy. She empowers you to draw your own wisdom. Like she has that thing where she activates everything that was already within you. She's an activator of everything that was always within you. And you are like, yes to yourself, yes to your dreams, yes to your purpose. She just says, ma'am, it was always here. There was nothing else you needed. So that is just beautiful. Joy, I love that you got to honor us by being in the space. Your journey is beautiful. The fact that, first of all, as an African woman, being raised in a culture where money is not something we get to talk about, and we are here having money conversations, is part of the healing. So I am so grateful to have been able to talk about conversation that includes unfamiliar money, conversation that includes a woman choosing to serve God and also allowing herself to be massively compensated, where you're no longer saying it's either I do God's work or I get to make money, or you just said I get to have both, and that's it. And many of us will keep receiving that in our journey. I trust that. I trust that whenever we are able to see another person, living, being an exemplary, and us being able to refer to them, it makes it so easy for us to also believe it. So what you did for us today has just been so beautiful and empowering. May God bless you even more. I know that 5 years from now, we'll probably have a different conversation. I trust this about you. Like, this journey, the beautiful part about spirit and this journey is that you get to evolve. Even if we got to have this conversation next year, it will be a different timeline. So, yes, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for everyone who managed to be here in this live session. I am so, so happy, and I'm so, so grateful. Any last words, anything that you're just remembering, you just want to drop before we end it?
No, I was gonna say you are such a natural cheerleader, like a hype woman of the century. So yeah, you just you can sell anything. And I guess this is why you are in this money work, right? So thank you so much for creating this money medicine space and inviting me here. I had so much fun. And for like as your teacher, it's like there's something that happens to you when I see people I've worked with just stepping into that power. It's like so beautiful, and you're just like doing amazing work. And I hope everyone who's watching us can come and follow you and continue to engage with the money medicine space, because I know it's a little bit of like a series. So come back next time. Let's break the poverty consciousness. And this lady here is here to help us. So yeah, thank you so much, Nilufar. Yes. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
And also, happy holidays, everyone. Enjoy yourselves. I just remember that Christmas is in 3 days.
So, yes, happy holidays.
Do you have the most amazing holidays and safe holidays? Bye-bye.